it's summer, but it's not summer for you guys. You've been busy. Tell me a little bit about what camp season's been like.
Oh, it's been chaos in a really good way. I particularly like camp season because it's the one time when I get to be out on the road and I get to go work camps, and we can have recruits here on location in camp, at the University of Arizona, and I can go to other schools and work camps at those other places. So because head coaches aren't allowed to go on the road recruiting in May, it's a really valuable time for us. But it was to start off the month, I think we were like 5 days in a row at camp, and then came home for one night, and then flew out, came home, flew out, drove back. I mean, it was just like, it was hectic, but it was fun. It's a great time of year.
You're getting those airline miles in.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the camps you guys hosted was a girls flag football camp,
Right.
and that's an AIA sanctioned sport as of last year. I'm sure more local teams in our area are going to start adding the sport this year. What do you make of the growth of flag football?
I think it's awesome. I think football is such a popular game in this country, and the fact that in the West there's two, California and Arizona are two states that are sanctioned it as varsity high school sports. It's awesome, and watching the girls play last night in the stadium, like, they're incredibly good, well coached, effort. They're talking trash. They're having a great time. It was fun to see.
And in addition to the camps you guys have been recruiting, you had the spring transfer class that you guys announced. What was your focus and priority in the portal, and how do you think you did?
I think we did great. I think the coaching staff and our recruiting department did a fantastic job identifying people that would fit us, and also like kind of satisfying some of the spots that we felt like we needed to shore up for this football team this season. This was a much different recruiting cycle than anyone I've ever been a part of, just because from the time we got here, there was a large amount of time spent getting to know the current roster, focused on retention in the current roster, and so some of those, in terms of filling some of those roster spots that were missing or that we needed to like complete the roster, that kind of came after spring practice and after the portals were closed.
One of the more interesting players to kind of watch was Ja'Cory Krusky-Merritt, just in terms of him being here and then Ole Miss and then back here. From your perspective, what was the process like of getting him to come to Arizona?
I think we were just really consistent with him. I think he really liked us from the start. I think that's why he said yes in the first place. But he still had some school to finish, right? And so he wasn't here. He was someone that committed right kind of when we got here, but then he couldn't come because he still was, working on graduating from New Mexico. So, we weren't around him. We weren't seeing him every day, that kind of stuff. And so other people kept recruiting him. It's just the way college football is sometimes. And so it didn't matter that he was committed here, signed a grant and aid here. And the people that were chasing him are great programs and attractive people. So the good news is at the end of the day, he is a Wildcat, and that's all that matters.
What does he add to the running back room?
Well, I think that room, obviously we had a couple players transfer there, and we had a player transfer and a couple players graduate from there, right? And so we were trying to fill that room out. I think, every program, or you ask any running back and they want to be the number one guy, but you never play with just one guy. You normally play with three. And because it's just such a physical position, and those guys take such a pounding, like that, you have to have more than one guy that can do the job. And so we're excited about the guys we added there, and I think they're going to give our fans something exciting to watch.
When you join a new conference, is there things you have to do behind the scenes that fans may not know about?
No, I don't think so. I think for us, it's building a football team, building a football program. That's fairly consistent. Sometimes certain small details about where you're at impact how you build that out, or how you practice, or when you practice, or whatever. But I think the biggest thing is for like our players and our fans, like, wrapping their head around this new challenge and what this is. Because I think top to bottom, we're going into one of the best conferences in the country, and I think our players getting used to, every time we go on the road, we're going to be playing in front of an absolute capacity crowd, sold out, rabid fan bases, which you didn't always have in the Pac-12. There were places in that conference where football wasn't the highest priority, but that's not the case in the Big 12. The Big 12, it is, They love it, and that's going to be something that's going to be fun for us to experience.
Absolutely. And the conference has reportedly looking into title sponsors, just another thing, right? The way college football is moving. What do you think about that?
I think anything that continues to highlight the players, highlight the conference, kind of just, I think college football is such a great game. And the more we can do to kind of show it off and make it the biggest show on earth, like, I'm all for it. And so title sponsors, NIL, whatever it takes, I'm all for it.
How do you feel about your team as you go into fall camp and into the season?
I think we're in a great spot. I really believe in our strength and conditioning staff, and I think they're doing a great job with our players right now. This team is really committed and some great leadership, really in all classes, you know, from the young guys to the old guys. You know, that leadership is spread out throughout the team, and with also a really good senior class coming back. So we feel great about where we're at, and we're excited. You know, we're only 6 weeks away from the start of fall camp, so that will be here before we know it, but we're excited for it, and we're excited for the new conference. There's just a lot of unknowns, but, you know, it's a lot of exciting stuff too. A lot of first time in this stadium, or first time on this road trip, or first time versus opponents, so it's going to be cool.
And you've already had several players that were named to a preseason All-American. I'm sure that's the first of many, you know, preseason awards. What stands out to you just about those returning leaders and older players that have been here?
Well, I always tell those players in our football team that preseason awards don't mean anything. You know what I mean? We want the postseason awards, right? That's what we want to talk about. That's what we want to see happen. But you don't get those unless you earn them. But those players that are receiving those preseason accolades, I think first and foremost, they're outstanding young men. And I think when your best players are also the best people or best human beings on your team, you have a chance to do some special things. And I think that we're fortunate to be in that position.
How is Tedamaro McMillan doing with his injury that, you know, kept him out from the spring game?
He's doing great. He's doing great. Steady rehabbing it, and he's making great progress towards getting ready for the season.
Are you taking play calling responsibilities, or are your coordinators going to do that?
I'm not, and I've never done that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I really think, I know that's what this program had a year ago with Coach Fish, but that's not my style, and I think everybody's got to be who they are in this role. And I really trust the people that are going to be calling plays for us, and I think our fans are going to like what they see, and I think we're going to play really well in all three phases.
I saw that a couple, maybe the whole team, players were calling season ticket holders to thank them. Whose idea was that? How did that come about?
That was from our administration, but I think it's always good for our players to tell people how much they appreciate them. I think that's, you know, earlier you asked about us going into the Big 12, and that's one of the things that I've been challenging our fan base since I've gotten here, is making this a really hard place to play, making Arizona Stadium the hardest place to play in the conference, because I know that all those places that we go on the road are going to have sold out crowds, like everyone, you know. And so how difficult can we make this environment here on our opponent? And so anytime our players can say thank you to people for buying season tickets or showing up or coming to games, I'm all for it.
It's been roughly 6 months since you've taken over the head coaching job here. What has this journey been like for you?
It's been awesome. It's been crazy. It's been so fun. Just being able to come back to Tucson, come back to the University of Arizona, you know, getting to know these players has been really, really fun. It's a great group of young men. You know, putting the staff together. I feel great about kind of the men and women that we're going to surround our football team with. And, you know, every day is exciting. I like every day when I walk, you know, into the Lowell Stevens building from the parking lot, I smile. I look up at the building. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So it's been fun.
Is there anything else that you want to add about this season, about fall camp?
We're just looking forward to it, right? You know, I think one of the biggest challenges for this team, or for any team that had success the previous year, is just focusing on the process, like the things you have to do to have a chance to be successful. How we eat, how we sleep, how we train, how we go to school, how we study, how we prepare. And you know, and right now this team is experiencing all this fanfare, right? You mentioned the preseason accolades, or everybody in town is so excited for them, and I'm excited for them too. But if we don't do the work now, it's not going to matter what the preseason accolades are. It won't be good enough, right? So we're really we're focusing with our team on really locking into our process right now, and just how much effort and detail can we put into our day-to-day work that gives us a chance to have the outcomes we want to have.
Awesome. Coach Brennan, thank you so much.
Thank you.